There comes a time in every soul's journey when the world falls silent, when nothing outside brings comfort, when the voices of praise grow faint and even hope seems far away. It is in this sacred silence that something deeper begins, not the noise of victory, but the whisper of resurrection, a quiet call that says, begin again, begin, though you failed, begin though you've fallen, begin though you've been forgotten, begin because your soul is not done. Plato once wrote, the beginning is the most important part of the work, and yet how often we avoid it, not because we are lazy, but because we are afraid. We fear starting over. We fear being seen weak again. We fear that trying again means we haven't arrived. But the truth is, starting over is not failure. It is faith. It is the refusal to let defeat write your story. It is the soul's way of saying, I still believe in who I am. Becoming to begin again is to walk into the unknown, carrying only the wisdom of pain, the clarity of loss, and the memory of light. It is not naive. It is the most courageous act of all, the willingness to hope when hope has betrayed you, the strength to rebuild when everything has crumbled, the grace to forgive yourself and still trust the path. Socrates reminded us, the unexamined life is not worth living, and in every ending there is examination, a reckoning with what broke and what survived, and in that reckoning lies power. For to begin again is to stand in the ashes, with eyes open, with heart unguarded, and say, I am not done, I am not lost, I am not finished, I am still becoming. The world may say your time has passed, your chance is gone, your worth is measured in wins, but the soul knows different. The soul is not impressed by success. It is impressed by sincerity. It grows, not in applause, but in silence, not in comfort, but in courage, not in status, but in stillness. Where the eternal speaks, to begin again is to become humble, not small, but honest, to admit what didn't work, to accept what cannot be changed, and to reach once more into the unknown with steady hands and an open heart. You are not meant to live a perfect life. You are meant to live a whole one, and wholeness comes not through ease, but through the repeated decision to rise. Aristotle taught that excellence is not an act, but a habit. And what greater habit than the will to begin again, to wake up each day and declare, I will not be ruled by regret. I will not be held by shame. I will not be frozen by fear. I will begin again and again and again until my life becomes a symphony of restarts and every note sings of courage. Heraclitus said, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man. This is the wisdom of beginning again. You are not who you were, and the path you now walk, though it may seem familiar, is filled with new light, because you carry new vision. You walk with deeper roots. You speak with softer strength. Let them say you failed. Let them say you're foolish. Let them mock your resilience. They do not know the fire within you, the quiet thunder of your spirit, the unseen battle you fight each time you rise, each time you love again, dream again, try again. This is not weakness. It is divinity in motion. It is what the gods admire most, the human soul refusing to vanish. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. And what greater foolishness than to start over in a world obsessed with speed, with perfection, with image. Yet this is the path of the wise, the enduring, the luminous, those who do not measure life by how far they've gone, but by how many times they've dared to begin. Again, let this be your anthem. Not that you never fell, but that you never stayed down. Not that you always knew, but that you always listened. Not that you were perfect, but that you were faithful to the journey, not the end, and in this you will find freedom. The freedom to grow, the freedom to forgive, the freedom to try again. Not because you must, but because you can. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are simply called forward, and the first step is the most divine. Not because it is easy, but because it is honest. So take it now. Breathe in the fire of a new beginning and walk into your life again as if for the first time, because this is your time, and the soul that begins again is the soul that never dies. There is a place within you that cannot be touched by chaos, a stillness that does not rise and fall with fortune or failure. It is not found in noise, nor shaped by praise. It does not strive. It does not chase it. Simply it is the center of the soul, the eye of the storm, the source of your being, and it waits for you, not in tomorrow, but in this breath, this silence, this moment. The ancient Greeks knew that true mastery is not power over others, but peace within oneself. Socrates spoke of the soul as something to be cared for, to be cultivated with truth and harmony and love. And in this care was the secret not to conquer the world, but to conquer the self, to bring light to the dark corners of thought, to quiet the winds of desire, to come home to the soul and rest. This stillness is not passivity. It is presence, not the absence of effort, but the end of struggle. It is the calm that sees clearly, the strength that does not react, the wisdom that no longer argues with what is. It is what remains when the false falls away, when ambition grows quiet, when the heart opens wide enough to hold both joy and sorrow without being shaken by either. In the words of Epictetus, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. And what greater freedom than the stillness of a soul that no longer needs to prove itself, not to the world, not to the past, not even to its own reflection. The soul that is free does not ask, "Am I enough?" It simply lives from the knowing that I am to find this peace. You must go inward, not to escape the world, but to return to it with vision, to sit with your fears until they lose their voice, to breathe with your grief until it becomes grace to face your pain, not as enemy, but as invitation, for all things that trouble us are but echoes of the self, asking to be heard, healed, and held. Plato taught that the soul remembers beauty as if awakening from a dream, and stillness is how we remember, for it is only in stillness that we see beauty not as something to be possessed, but as something we already are. We do not need to chase joy. We need only stop running from ourselves. We do not need to silence the world. We need only hear our own heart. You will not find peace by changing the world, but by changing the way you see the world. When the storm outside matches the storm within, then suffering reigns. But when the storm outside rages and you remain still within, then you have become sovereign, not over fate, but over your response, not over others, but over your own soul. Heraclitus said, "The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts." And so what thoughts will you dwell in? What colors will you wear? Will you paint your inner world with resentment, with fear, with constant striving? Or will you choose the hues of compassion, of truth, of deep listening, of sacred rest? There is nothing you must do to earn peace. It is not a reward. It is your nature. It is the silence beneath every sound, the breath beneath every effort, the space between every heartbeat. When you stop chasing, you will find it. When you stop resisting, you will feel it. When you stop fearing, it will hold you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." This is the invitation to live in awe, not control, to live in communion, not conquest, to let the moment be enough, not because it is perfect, but because it is real. And in that realness, you find the divine. You do not need to fix everything. You do not need to understand everything you need. Only be here now as you are and listen to the stillness. For in that stillness, the soul speaks and it says, you are loved, you are held, you are whole, and this is enough. This stillness is not the end. It is the beginning. It is from this quiet that true action arises, not reactive, not desperate, but wise and aligned and whole. From this silence, your truest voice will emerge, and it will not shout, it will not demand, it will simply say yes to life, yes to purpose, yes to peace. So sit for a moment, close your eyes, breathe deep, and remember the stillness that has always lived within you. It is not lost, it is not broken, it has simply been waiting for your return, and now you are home. If you felt inspired by our journey through the Hellenic horizons, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.